Yeah, so this is Sunny. I'll repeat the question for the camera, but we could talk to each other. So what do you think happens after we die? What's your belief about that?
Well, there's two ways of looking at it. The way I look at it is religion prepares you to be at the moment when everything starts to shut down.
Okay.
So mentally you are prepared. I believe my way of thinking is that moment is a long moment. So when the system shuts
like kind
down,
of outside of time.
outside of time. So in my opinion, I think it slows everything down.
Yeah.
And your mind, while it's shut down, will try to make peace with everything that exists.
So would it be safe to say this happens? Like in your thinking, like say someone had an accident where they die instantly, are you saying that too would be the kind of thing?
The moment what we think time is the time that's created by us.
Yeah.
And the time of nature might be different. Like you could have a bug that only lives a day, but it lives a lifetime.
Yeah, it sure does.
Right.
So what brings you to that, or what brought you to that belief?
I think it's primarily the evolution of religion and philosophies that have existed, and understanding of science, and understanding of how nature is and how everything stops. Chemical reactions, how the brain starts to shut down, and you start hallucinating. You could call it hallucination, where all the memories and everything starts to come up.
Yeah.
So if we look at it, does afterlife exist, and all of that exists? I think it all exists in that moment.
Oh wow. And so it would be a limited time. I mean, it sounds like it's out. What you're talking about is like outside of time. Actually.
Well, the thing is, the definition of time is we create it, right?
Yeah.
When nature has its own thing, how do you limit what time is?
Yeah.
A moment for me could be a lifetime. A lifetime could just be a moment.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that, when I think of, like we measure time in like how many times we go around the sun, and days and stuff like that.
We're limited by the sun, right?
And so, so it's kind of like a man-made, created thing.
Right. But it's also how your mind processes things, right? Sometimes it processes so fast. You could have a computer that could take a day to process an algorithm.
Yeah.
And you could have a computer that does the same algorithm in 1 second.
Yeah. So
but both are still the same computer.
Right. So do you did you come from a certain religious tradition?
No, I come from the Eastern tradition, right? From where Sihkism, Hinduism, and all of that, Buddhism, all of that have the same basic philosophy, which is like most of them are based in such an old tradition. I think it's been time tested, and it comes down to if you walk the path, you will achieve it. Without walking, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's usually, if you look at Buddhism, it will be always training your mind.
Yeah.
Right. They always believe in the concept today could be the last day.
I've heard it explained because obviously I'm a Christian, so there's like and maybe I don't know if you'd say it's Western thinking, but linear thinking in terms of like there's a series of events that cause other things that cause other things. Well,
the thing is, the linear thing is also the definition, and all of that is because the systemic belief in the system is created by one or two institutions. Like you could say Christianity and to Islam to Judaism, right? Pretty much all of the Western thinking is based on Judaism and the Greek philosophies. They stem from that. West is defined by the Greek philosophies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sorry, but I was gonna say, like, seems to me like the Eastern religions have been, I've heard it described as like they're circular thinking, as opposed to linear.
Linear. The reason for circular thinking is because of life and death cycle of everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything is reborn.
Yeah.
Everything dies. The whole perception that everything needs to die to be reborn.
Yeah.
And everything will die. All the existence will end.
Yeah.
And it will come back.
Now, do you hold to that? Like, do you believe in, say, reincarnation?
I do believe in reincarnation is also, being from a bit of a scientific mind, I have a hard time believing it, but I believe in the concept.
Yeah.
The concept being reincarnation is one way of looking at I'm going to go to hell. philosophy. Like if you don't behave, if you don't do well, you're going to come back as this.
Or you're in a reincarnated hell. Yeah.
That is hell. Reincarnation is hell. Because all the Eastern philosophies believe in getting out of the hell is by conquering your mind, conquering yourself, to liberate yourself from these attachments of this world. Then you're free.
So you have this concept. How sure are you about it? Like if you were to rate it on a 0 to 10 scale, like
the whole Eastern philosophy is you cannot be set on one thing because it is such a fluid. One of the most interesting thing that I saw in the last 2 days was this Muslim philosopher on YouTube. He goes, "How do you know God is real?" Right? That's the question from a scientific. He goes, "Look at us today, right? We only know 5% of the universe because that's all we can see." Right?
If that, right?
And we're such limited in our lifetime. If you look at human history, written human history might have been only 5,000 to 7,000 years.
Right.
How much can we have comprehended in the 5,000 to 7,000 years? So I think as we develop more, our knowledge will gain more, new ideas will come more. And I think acceptance of the idea, just like scientific philosophies, right? It needs to be tested and tested again by a common person. So that's why when Buddha said,
I'm hearing the scientific background there, like kind of evolution.
Like Buddha, right? He said, "I'm not here to be the only enlightened one. My philosophy could be done by anyone." So that is the test of why his philosophy has survived so long, because people have tested it.
He wasn't worried about it, and there it is, right?
And no, it was not. It was just that his ideas were replicable, and other people could gain the knowledge and freedom that he thought he got.
Now, are you? I'm noticing the headgear. Right. So, are you a Sikh?
I'm a Sikh.
Okay. And closely related to Buddhism, but
no, it's completely different because Sikhism, Buddhism doesn't believe in God. Sikhism believe there is one creator. And that one creator created everything, and he cannot be born, he cannot die. He's formless.
Let me ask you this: in Sikhism, so with that belief in one God, that's very similar to like the monotheistic religions of.
It is a monotheistic.
So. Would you say that it's your job to discover God, or God is in the role of revealing himself to you according to Sihkism?
Right. The basic philosophy is this, that we believe God is everywhere. Right? God is everywhere because he created everything. If he created you, you are a product of God. And it is your intelligence in that sense of meditation and reciting of discovering what the truth is, you will discover. And like my mom will always say, you walk one step, you walk 10 steps towards you.
Okay. Right. So, would you, according to Sikhism, are you pretty strict with like what you say is what Sikhism teaches?
No, it doesn't.
Not necessarily.
It doesn't. Sikhism has a strict rule, but it also gives the freedom. It's just like a Dharma religion, where you have to walk the path.
So I'm asking your opinion, but also what Sikhism teaches, maybe.
Right. I think Sikhism is a quite new religion. So the thoughts and ideas are much more modern compared to.
When did it start?
300 years ago.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh.
The founder was in 1500s, and the one that codified it and created it was in 1708.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was that new. And wasn't it a reaction to Hinduism?
Hinduism it's a reaction to Islam and Hinduism, right? And in Hinduism, you got
the conflict between the two.
In the conflict between the two, one was a strict monotheistic religion, Islam, where it was strict adherence to their way of looking and believing in religion, and then you have Hinduism, which is a multitude of gods, goddesses, where they have millions of gods, and multiple philosophies of how the religion is worshipped.
Okay.
And it was one side, whoever was in power, saying that my way is the right way.
Yeah.
And that happens every single time, right?
Yeah.
So whoever is in power is pursuing and pushing their religion. Religion might not say this is the right way, but the rulers do it because to keep their their kingdom and their powers sustained. So it was that conflict in India where the rulers wanted to convert people to Islam because that was what they believed was the right path to do. Not everyone believed that.
Yeah. Are you from India yourself?
No, I'm not. I'm from Burma.
Burma. Oh, okay. All right.
So I grew up in the Buddhist background.
Oh, okay.
Being a Sikh.
Yeah. Now, is there a holy book in Sikhism?
We have our holy book. It's called Guru Granth Sahib,
Mm-hmm.
and it is it's a conglomeration of writings from Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs. So it's a learning of many different faiths in one,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much it's poetry. It's not telling you got to do this, you got to do that.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all of our religious book can be sung.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It is pretty much like our religious services in our temple is singing of the book.
Do you believe in morality? You know,
Of course.
I'm sure you do. I've
Right.
never met anyone who doesn't.
Right.
But where does that morality come from? I guess that's my question. So does it come from that?
I mean,
the
morality
scriptures, or-
morality is set by human standards and cultural periods and time, and also the religious books. Like, we are told to respect every religion.
Mhm.
So for me to say Islam is bad, or me to say Hinduism is bad, or Christianity is bad, is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, we are supposed to respect everyone because
Yeah.
God created everyone. If he wanted to create one religion, he could have,
Yeah.
but he didn't.
Yeah, I mean, so like I don't know if you'd say like it's pacifism or seeking peace, you know, with all the other beliefs, but when they're incompatible. So let like explain kind of like the perspective of Christianity is that Christ is very exclusive
Right.
as far as himself is concerned, you know,
Right.
saying, I am the way, the
Right.
truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. And so I, as a Christian, on the one hand, Christianity is very exclusive because it says we need to enter into a relationship with God
Sure.
through Jesus, but at the same time, it's very universal because it says it's that relationship with God is available to anyone who puts their trust in
Right.
Christ. You know,
And if you look at it, right, I mean, the arguments could be many different ways. And
Mm.
you look at the canonized Bible.
Mm.
When was it canonized, right? It was canonized by in Byzantium by a king 300 to 400 years later, after Christ. It was none of Christ his own personal writings. And when the canonization happened, many books were left out.
Mhm.
Right?
Well, that's why they canonized it, because
right.
there
many
were
books
many
were
books
left out,
that were
and
being
the
proposed.
decision of what's being left out 300 years later,
Mhm.
and the value of what's being left out and what's being put can be argued by many people. But that's not the point. I think it's the people today, if we look at it,
Mhm.
if they believe that is the path, they should passionately follow it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that if that is the way that they could, you know, attain peace, either through, you know, Christ as the Savior, or Prophet Muhammad,
Yeah.
or Buddha, go passionately.
Yeah.
And you
And
know,
just to let you know where I'm coming from as a Christian, like I like to get in these conversations,
right,
because I love to hear, you know, like people's religious development and what they believe in, and you know, your experiences and things like that.
right,
At the same time, as a Christian, I think it's important to get in the conversation as a way to share the Christian gospel, you know, like the way to God through
Right.
Christ.
right,
And so it's more, I would say, to me, it's more out of obedience, because that's what Christ told us to do.
it's what, you know, in the same way, I don't do that to you. Why don't
Yeah.
I do that to you? Why don't I say my philosophy
Well,
is
yeah, I'm
newer?
thinking, yeah, because
My-
your
my-
religion would say
my
accept
doesn't
them all.
accept
right?
them all.
Yeah.
And I am not pushing you on any way. I'm just
Yeah.
telling you, go love Christ.
Yeah.
I'm
And-
not telling you Christ is wrong or anything.
Yeah.
It's against my belief system to do that.
Yeah.
If you find joy in that, and that makes you the happiest man in the world, do it.
Well, for me, I want to be able to share that gospel,
Yeah, you could definitely share it.
but at the same time, I know I can't convince anyone
No,
of it.
Convincing
You know?
it's
That's-
a different thing. If
Yeah.
it brings joy, then
Like
it's
people's
fine.
worldviews, you
Right,
know?
and it's, if you know, the world is full of people that try to convince other people
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
And if it's not coming from inside, from yourself, you will. It's never going to be real.
Sonny, do you feel like you have an understanding of Christianity?
Of course, I do.
Yeah.
I've been ever since I was young. I've been trying to be converted by so many people. So anything you could throw at me, I could have a great conversation with you. And
but
the
you
thing
probably
is,
have to get going. I know.
The
you
problem
said 10
is you don't know anything outside of Christianity. That's your limitation.
Well,
how much do you know about Sihkism? Tell me 2 things about Sihkism that you know.
I know that they became very good with the sword in order to defend, families and
Why?
the faith. It was part of their original tradition. I've talked with a few Sikhs before, and one guy was telling me that because he didn't have his sword on and his whole, the uniform, that he wasn't real faithful to Sikhism. Which I don't know.
The word Sikh.
I think he'd get in trouble if he had a big sword.
No, Sikh means a student.
Yeah.
Student is constantly learning.
Yeah.
In our religion, you baptize when you're ready to baptize.
Yeah, I know less about Sikhism
Right.
than other religions
But
just because I don't run into as many people.
It's just the thing is like you want to proselytize because that's what your faith teaches you, and which is great. You should do it.
Yeah.
But to convince somebody that yours is the only right way.
Yeah, I know better than that. I've learned.
That would lead to many wrong paths.
Well,
you have to do what's being taught to you.
Yeah.
And I think people should just
I would
respect
like
that.
you to know that Christianity does teach Jesus is the way to heaven, that without him we are condemned, that there is hell, that it waits for everybody.
Right.
And I want to see you in heaven. I want the best for you.
My friend,
don't know you, but I want to see you there.
My friend, it's the same thing with my really good friend who was from the Islam faith.
Yeah.
He says the same thing. Prophet Muhammad is the way.
Yeah.
And I respect him dearly.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
And and just like you would say Christ is the way. I respect you dearly. The one thing my teachers have taught me is tell you that this is a great path for you. The path I'm walking is a great path for me.
All right.
And let's just respect that.
We can do that.
Nice meeting you. I gotta get going.
Here, I'll give you my card.
All right.
It's good to talk to you.